Hello and welcome to the 9th episode of the NEWrestle podcast. We are, we're already past the midway point in January. Like, time is just rolling faster and faster as we progress through the season. But obviously, before we start getting into the meat and potatoes of the episode, want to give our sponsor, InsureNebraska, Joe Schluckabeer, obviously our shout out. Thanks to you for everything you do. If you haven't, go check those guys out. They can help you with whatever you need. So we're going to kick things off before we preview the weekend coming. That's a huge weekend in Norfolk. We're going to kind of back up a little bit and go over some previous action in the world of Nebraska high school wrestling, starting with the Schuyler Invite.
Drew. Oh, cool. We get to start with Class B. Fun stuff.
Yep.
That's me. Okay, so Schuyler Invite, I was out there all day on Saturday, watched the streams all day on Friday. We had some awesome pictures coming out of there, some awesome wrestling. The girls' invite itself was a good one, so don't really want to overlook that, but we'll probably circle back to girls since we got a lot to talk about in that regard coming up. On the boys' side, a great opportunity to see Scotts Bluff coming in from the western part of the state, and impressive team. They had even the guys that didn't win their matches were fighting hard in everyone. They got second to Bennington. Bennington looked as good as ever to me, and that was without like 3 or 4 starters. So Bennington's looking good as well. Got to shout out Aquinas, Class D, 3rd place in the event. Got to see Shelby Rising City from Class D. Not all their guys, but most of them. And then I thought Blair's kind of positioning themselves well for a nice little run late in the season. Individually, really impressed with Brody Scobie and Braden Kreichmeyer from Bennington in the 138, 144 back-to-back weights. Basically, Scobie just rolled through a very tough weight and beat a really good Brody Schmidt there in the finals, 20-7, which that's just a pretty astounding score. The Scotts Bluff lightweights, Anthony Shiflett and Oscar Brown won 106 and 113. Both of those guys got wins over Aquinas. Shiflett was actually losing. It was by 8 to 10 points. Jaden Schamer from Aquinas had a couple good near falls. Shiflett got the first takedown, and then it was Schamer for a while, and then Shiflett turned the tables and pinned him. And then at 113, Oscar Brown beat Tristan Davis in overtime, and that was a great match too. And really, all those finals matches were awesome. We had the 3rd and 5th place matches were going on at the same times, and I swear we weren't even halfway done with the championship matches before we had to start moving them out to other mats, which made it hard to get pictures of everybody, but I tried.
Right.
Yeah. But no, it's a good tournament. I love doing Schuyler. Sometimes, after doing, something like the Manstead or these events where there's a lot of mats, Winter Nationals and then Manstead, we have our big weekend in Norfolk coming up. To do a tournament with 3 mats is a little less stressful and probably a little more viewer friendly too. So hopefully we get to keep doing Schuyler for years to come.
Yeah. I think I mentioned that to you, like this, from the coverage standpoint of being like doing the Manstead's like drinking from a fire hose, like, you're in there and you're rolling. And then when I did the Wood River Invite earlier in the year, like able to get video and stuff and still pictures and all that kind of stuff with relative ease, or the Logan View Invite. But man, it is rough trying to cover all the matches going on when you have multiple matches at each weights and stuff that are with a 10 mat event, so
there's no way unless you have like 6 photographers to really cover all of it, and then you're posting every 10 seconds, and not everyone's going to see everything anyways. So
so we're going to stay in Class B.
Okay.
And I'll have you jump over to the Northwest duels with that dual tournament.
Yeah, no, Omaha Scott, what can you say? Let's go Skyhawks.
You're going to get crap for that one.
I know. They, but I mean, really, very impressive stuff. It kind of puts in perspective how good Creighton Prep is because they beat Scott. But Scott went over to Northwest. I think their closest duel was like 53-20. I don't think they lost more than 4 matches in a single duel. And that's, usually they're 215 and 285 are a little less experienced. And so, I mean, outside of that, I really only think there was one duel where they lost 4 matches. So if that sort of tells you how well they performed, they beat C number 2 Pierce, B number 3 York. Hastings is in there, and they're a good team. I mean, just overall pretty impressive performance because every team that was in attendance at that event is a solid lineup. So, and then they turn around and then they dueled Beatrice last night, which that duel, it was in question there for a little. I don't know if you watched it or anything, but that duel was okay. It was in question. 132. Scott's 132 was winning by quite a bit. Tweaked something, got taken down a couple times. Was still ahead, but forfeited out of the match. So probably let's just call it like a 9-point swing there.
Sure.
And so then you fast forward, and Beatrice, Scott wins the first 2. Beatrice wins 5 in a row. Scott wins 4 in a row. Now they're ahead. You sort of had to think that Beatrice was probably favored at 215 and 285, and so that comes down to 190, where it's number 1 Riley Johnson and number 2 Merrick Johnson. And Merrick Johnson from Beatrice got the first takedown. So it's 3-0 right out of the gate. Well, Riley kind of said enough of that and ended up winning that match.
Did Riley things?
Yes. Yeah. So that match, Riley won by tech fall, which put Scott ahead by 13.
Yeah.
So, and then actually it ended up where they traded pins at 215 and 285. But had that 190 match been a major decision, if Beatrice got pins in the last 2, it would have at least been a tie and gone to criteria. So it was very exciting. I was impressed with the way Beatrice came to scrap. I mean, they have half their lineup is hammers, and some of the other guys stepped up a little bit too, and pretty entertaining duel overall.
Yeah. No.
But, I mean, Scott's just kind of in a class of their own, and B, although I think that Bennington, if there's anyone that's going to do it or pull that upset off, it'd be Bennington.
Well, and they're sitting 1 and 2 right now in the NSAA standings. So as it stands right now, I mean, York is right behind Bennington. But as it stands right now, if you were to wrestle and seed it out today, they'd at least be on opposite sides. Like there's always the chance. There's always the chance because but Bennington, York, and Milford are kind of bunched up there at 45. I mean, separated by like half a point. And without looking at future schedules and yet for the rest of the year, like, I mean, as it shakes out, it should shake out right, but you never know. So yeah, so that's cool. You want to talk about Metros and?
Yeah, we could do Metros. I mean, and the Hack. Those are both incredibly difficult tournaments because that's half a Class A, with the exception of North Platte. So tournament titles are well earned. We don't need to go through and name everyone. There were some things that stood out. Absolutely. I think Creighton Prep they were still without Cole Caniglia, and they set the Metro tournament boys scoring record. So, I mean, that says a lot because the Metro's been around for quite a while, and there's been a lot of good teams, including the Millard Souths of recent, that have gone through there and not accomplished what Creighton Prep did. So
sure, yeah, that's quite the deal.
Yeah, so pretty impressive performance. Brian, I thought, did really well. Omaha Brian, they got their 106 down. Wahab Unle. So that's kind of a difference maker for them. I think that kind of puts them into close to that upper echelon of Class A, because you have a medalist caliber kid there. You have Callaway, and then who's been number 1 at 13 the whole year. But then you also have Jay Sean Sterling at 150, and he beat number 2 at the time, Brady Danzy from Millard South, and then lost 4-3 to number 1 Ackerson in the finals. So a good performance from, really, honestly, Omaha Brian's team as a whole. They're 285. Amir Heish is doing good things as well. But yeah, I mean, Metros, what can you say? It was freaking cold again. every year the Metro tournament's like -1 million degrees, or there's a foot of snow on the ground. But yeah, no, I think that for the most part, what was expected to happen happened at Metros. The hack was highlighted by a really good team race, and that came down like literally right until the end with Kearney and Grand Island.
Okay.
And I don't remember the exact like scenario and how it all ended. Cody would love to have this conversation about it, but someone got like a late pin to effectively clinch the title. So,
Okay.
but it might have been like another team pinning one of Kearney's guys or something like that to basically swing it in favor of Grand Island.
GI.
Yeah.
GI.
So Grand Island wins that team race by 3.5 points over Kearney, which, those are.
Dude, wrestling's better
rivals.
when the rivalries like that are just neck
Mhm.
and neck, like,
Yes.
man, I love that.
And it seems like all those schools can kind of be considered rivals too. In the hack, you have Columbus and Lincoln
Yeah.
East, and then Norfolk's always kind of one of those teams that jumps out. And then obviously several others, not trying to omit anyone, but on the girls' side, same event. Kearney, the girls get it done for Kearney. They win by 4.5 points over Norfolk. So that's your defending state champion team, Norfolk, finishing second there. I think they were both pretty close to full. I don't know exactly. I didn't go through, I guess, fine-tooth comb everything. I was impressed with the tournament that Kira Haynes had for Lincoln East. She avenged a loss, won a really tough way at 140. But I mean, I don't know. The Hat Conference is getting to the point now where I feel like it's getting on par with Metro. I think on the girls' side, those top teams would probably cross over well to Metro and compete well against Omaha West Side, Millard South, and Bellevue too. So we'll get to see a lot of that on Friday also.
Nice.
And I kind of forgot. I don't want to do the girls a disservice at Metro either. It's out there now that Mara Vanderpool from Westside is now at 100 pounds, where she becomes the very obvious favorite at that weight. So at 105 now, you still have two-time state champion Madeline Bonet, one-time state champion Lauren Freoff, and I think two-time runner-up Anna Purdue from York. And then Freoff actually just beat Bonet last week too. So now 105 is kind of like, oh well, who's gonna come out on top there? So there is some excitement and movement around in the girls, and again, good wrestling to come.
It's good stuff. Good stuff.
What's going down with Class C?
Well, there was a ton of dual action this weekend. I mean, I don't know where exactly to start, but I mean, the Minden duels and the Gothenburg duels, I'll just start there. They were Friday and Saturday. You saw some crossover there. A handful of Class Cs. Obviously, St. Paul was the winner of both of these tournaments, bolstering their record to, I think they're 20-2 now in duels, and probably firmly entrenched into that top 3 spot in the dual standings, I want to say. So wait, where'd my paper go? There we go. Yeah, I think as of yesterday, they're sitting number 2 actually in front of Battle Creek, which, Pierce is at the top, St. Paul 2, Battle Creek 3. Any combination of, when you're going to see the Pierce and Battle Creek duel this week on Thursday. So
well, and then on Saturday you'll have Pierce, Battle Creek, and Cedar Catholic too.
Right. So with those tournaments, like, kind of cleared up a lot of picture, kind of a muddy picture that we had moving forward. There were some teams that had a shot to kind of assert themselves that came into those tournaments to kind of give themselves a shot at getting into the state tournament. Not sure. Wow. Did you see that flicker?
Mm-mm.
I almost just lost power. So,
oh no, sorry, I wasn't looking at your side.
Yeah, it just went dark in my room. Hopefully the internet holds. It's super windy outside. So anyway,
I'll just talk to myself for a little while. It's fine.
Weird. Okay. Side note: weather's bad. It's windy out here.
Windy every day
Anyway,
this week.
Yeah. So, kind of one of the highlights, obviously, of Class C, kind of moving off of duels, I guess, is the Gibbon invite and kind of the surge of Gibbon itself. They have had quite a sneaky, decent season. I mean, you're not going to see anything that jumps off the page, but they haven't fully been healthy with their full lineup in a lot of tournaments. There's been a guy or two sitting out here or there, and at their home invite, the Bill Foster Invitational, they were all competing, and they won that tournament by, I want to say, 40 points over Mitchell, who's 7th in our rankings or whatever, and has a pretty decent team on their side from a regular season standpoint. And so I actually kind of made the comment in the recap yesterday that just for the casual fan, I know a lot of us wrestling guys know, like, you see tournaments where some of these schools that maybe are unranked, Gibbons outside our top 15 currently, but they compete week in and week out really, really well because of the wrestlebacks, essentially. Dudes getting wrestling back to get third and all that kind of stuff, where roster size and depth kind of takes over on those week-to-week tournaments rather than a big event where there's tons of teams, and it's largely about how many guns do you have, So I guess, like, you're going to see this kind of come up also in the Battle Creek invite because Gibbons in that kind of mode. Logan View's kind of in that mode. They don't have super, like, a ton of high-end podium points, but they compete week in and week out super well. But then Cedar Catholic on the other side, they score like 120 points every week, and that's about where they max out. And that's because largely due to having, their 4 guns. So it's just kind of interesting, because you won't see Cedar Catholic winning a ton of team titles during the regular season, but they're going to finish. They're probably going to finish in the top 3 at the state tournament, So, so yeah, I mean, but then, yeah, Gibbon won that invite by their home invite over Mitchell. Falls City was actually 3rd in that tournament. Probably haven't looked into them quite enough to see what kind of, I didn't even realize they were in that tournament, honestly. So my bad. Those of you guys in Falls City that follow us. Boone Central Kearney Catholic has been kind of sneaky good too. So, like, this was a kind of an underrated tournament. Thayer Central, Milford was all there too. So good quality tournament. I just had a light flicker again. Hopefully you're hanging on. Yep, there goes the lights. What in the world is happening, man? So then jumping over to Battle Creek. Sorry, this has got me all thrown off.
Just hang in there, man. Hang in there. We got like 30 more minutes.
Yeah, we're trying to put this thing together. Let's hopefully hang on. And over at Battle Creek won its invite by 23 points over the aforementioned Logan View, who finished ahead of Gretna East, Gretna, and Cedar Catholic to round out that top 5. Again, just like what you said with the other ones, not going to go through a ton of individual stuff, but Battle Creek runs a really nice pool tournament over there. Gets plenty of matches for everybody up there, and there's a ton of cool matches especially with the cross class of Gretna East and Gretna going up there. So some good ones there. One weight class that did stick out was, I want to say it was 138. Does that sound right? No, 132. I can't. Oh, yeah. Where Maverick Heine beat Gabriel Campos 4-0 in the final. And Campos had a win in the previous round over D3 Blaine Stutzman, 9-5. So it was kind of a decent cross-class bracket right there. So,
yeah.
And Heine seems to be kind of, doing his kind of like what, I mean, he dropped those few matches. He's got 4 losses on the year. I know they're all to, obviously really good wrestlers, but just Cedar Catholic seems to be coming along really well. And otherwise, other Class C action. Gosh, who else had their tournament? Like the Cross County invite went on in David City, I believe. I can't remember if David City won that tournament. Does that sound right? Or did they get second?
Amherst won Cross County.
Yes. And then, so David City got second. That's right. Yeah. That's kind of a strange we were out there when I was at Logan View, and I don't know if they continue to do their seeding this way, but they do their seeding criteria based off of record only. They don't use head to head or common or anything. So it does get seeded. It does get seeded a little bit differently than what a lot of tournaments do.
Imagine if one of those like Creighton Prep or someone rolls in there and all their guys have like tons of losses and they're getting like the third seed.
Six seed.
That's funny. I had no idea that was the case.
It was.
And maybe it's not anymore. I don't know, but
I have no idea. It's been a couple of years since we went out there when I was at Logan View, and so, but it did change the dynamic of how, with it being a pool tournament as well, like who got matched up with who once you got into the championship bracket and all that kind of stuff. So,
okay,
yeah. So that's kind of a short little synopsis of Class C tournaments, right there. You got anything?
So that's somehow how you end up with Hayden Schmidt and Grant Eschidi on the same side of the bracket.
And then Hayden Schmidt has to wrestle his teammate in the finals.
Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well.
Yeah, I knew there was something to that. I forgot that. I'm glad you said that, because I was like, I knew there was a reason why I wanted to mention that.
Yeah, there was a kid from HTRS freshman that was 14-0 that got the top seed, and yes. I don't even know her.
I think that's Jed Berggren.
No, it was Humboldt HTRS. So.
Oh, HTRS. I thought you were saying Cross County.
And then he got pinned in both of his matches, so didn't make the bracket even. So yeah, maybe reevaluate. I don't know. Sorry, don't want to tell people how to do their stuff, but that's kind of blatantly interesting, I guess. But so before we wrap up, week, what would that be? 7?
Yes.
Okay, so we were talking about how St. Paul went back-to-back dual tournaments, and I think they would have anyways. I think they would have still won the tournament, but they still
did win the tournament based off of the social media post I read from Coach.
Well, and there was a lot of that. So Standing Bear and St. Paul duel each other in this event on Friday at Minden. It was Minden, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Standing Bear presumably won the duel by 1. Mm-hmm. I don't know when exactly this kind of all came into play. But Standing Bear had a wrestler. Here's where this is like totally, and I didn't know about this either, and I don't know if you do or did or whatever, but Standing Bear had a wrestler, and I don't want to name names because that's not the point of this. It's just more of an interesting way for things to go down. So Standing Bear had a wrestler, and I'm just going to use 120, 125, and 130 as these 3 weights. Let's go back to when we were on the mats in high school. So Standing Bear has a wrestler who his descent plan does not let him go below 125. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's a weight class, a hypothetical one now. It used to be one. And so their descent plan could not wrestle 120, but you still weigh in. So 120 plus 2 pounds plus 1 is 123. So he weighed in at 122.9, was only eligible for 125 or 127 with the 2 pounds. And in that duel against St. Paul, because if you were to normally wrestle 125 and you weigh in at 125 on the dot, you can bump up 1 weight. Well, because he weighed in with the confines of 120, which in this case is 120 plus 2 plus 1 or 123, he still technically weighed in there. So, and that's like a safety thing, I believe. Like it's an overarching rule. So there's 2 sets of rules. You got NSAAs and you got the Federation too. And so anyways, the way it works is that wrestler that weighed in at 125, but was technically 120, but couldn't wrestle 120 because his descent plan wouldn't allow him to, was not eligible for 120 or 130. So the only weight they could wrestle was 125. And if you care about it that much, you guys can go look at it. So in reality, normally you can weigh in and you can wrestle 1 weight above your weight. Well, if you weigh in at a weight you're technically not eligible for, you can still compete at the weight you are eligible for, but you can't bump up. And so that flipped the duel for a 1-point win for Standing Bear to whatever the math, it's a 12-point swing. So it's 11-point win for St. Paul, and St. Paul won that duel. And
so it essentially becomes the whole idea of bumping up 2 weight classes. You can't do that. So this is actually kind of put it more into layman's terms instead of using the word ineligible and all this stuff. Like, if you weigh in, let's say you're eligible for every weight class. If you weigh in and you are under the weight, like 125, like if you get the 3 pounds, you have to be at least 123.1
to
qualify for 125.
Correct. And it doesn't matter.
If you're at 123 or under, no matter what your descent plan even says, you are technically a 120 pounder that can only compete at one weight class that day because of your descent plan.
It's even more interesting because there was like another pound, So I think at the end of the day, if he had been 0.2 of a pound heavier, then this wouldn't have been an issue, and Standing Bear would have won. So like, here's another inches or ounces or whatever you want to call it.
Here's another situation just to kind of make it easier, because some people can still be easily confused by this. One of the years when we were dueling West Point, I had a wrestler that was wrestling at 152 for the season. And for him we needed to bump him actually clear to 170, or whatever the weight class was at the time. 71, 75, whatever it is. To make it so we're like, okay, you need to drink water to make sure you are 152.1, so that way you qualify as a 160 pounder. Right? Like you're no longer a 152. You just need that 1/10 over. So that way you can bump up the next weight. So like, yeah, it's you see it a lot, and it's an easy mistake to make personally. Like it could honestly be an honest mistake, because you think when you're looking at your descent plans and your weigh-in sheet, and I've done this as a coach, like I just look out to the side, it says eligible for, and it'll say on that day he's eligible for 125, 130, right? But if you're below, again, you still can be qualified as a 120 in your weigh-in, and that's where it gets a little hairy. So it's an honest mistake or an easy mistake to make. So
yeah, it kind of is what it is. Situation. I'll give a shout out to the Standing Bear community, though. They're really excited about it, and the way things are going for them, their time's going to come and they'll get some big wins. And shout out to all the kids who message us on Instagram and had a little
they were stoked about that.
So weird scenario, absolutely. Do you have anything else from last week that we want to maybe go into before we turn our attention to this weekend?
No, I think okay. I think most of Class C and all that kind of stuff was duels, a lot of dual action.
Okay,
kind of cleared up. So, and
again, we're probably going to say this every time. If you do really want to get into the weeds, we have in most cases we break down a lot of the goings on in our reviews. I know Sean, especially on the girls' side, does an excellent job going through and touching on some of the major occurrences in both Class A and B for the girls. So take a look at that on our Rockfen. If you subscribe today, you're going to get everything through the state tournament now. It's 1 month, $15, and you're going to get our district previews, which we're going to start rolling out. Well, today, I think, for some classes, and then at least the others will start rolling out next week. Sorry, the wind is blowing stuff around outside of my house. Not in the same boat as you.
It is just bothersome, dude.
Okay. Well, let's look at week 8. Yes, week 8. Kale, you're going to be up in Norfolk at least for some of this, I think. An exciting stretch of wrestling with C number 1 Battle Creek versus C number 2 Pierce Thursday, and they're all going to be at the same venue at the YMCA Norfolk. NSWCA girls duels on Friday. That's 16 teams in A, 16 teams in B, 32 total, and that's going to be awesome. Probably the last year of that, as the NSAA is close to getting the state dual tournament set for the girls starting next year. Hopefully, we'll see. And then Saturday, Mid-States Conference, which we sort of mentioned already a little bit. And then on Sunday, we're going to do the Battle at the Fork Youth Tournament in Norfolk, and hopefully highlight a lot of the youth wrestlers there. So you can watch all 4 of those. And then I will be in Lexington on Friday and Saturday for the Lexington invite. They have their girls event on Friday and the boys are on Saturday. The boys event, I just, it's always one of my favorites. The girls one's great too. Some of the teams aren't able to be there because the NSWCA moved their duels up. And I'm curious, it kind of makes me think about when the state duels will be for NSAA girls, but probably a different topic for a different day. So
yeah.
What are you?
Speaking, just real quick, one
Yep.
question. Have they locked down a facility for state duels for girls?
I don't know. The way I know they like to do it is they like to use the same facility.
Right.
So I guess by my, obviously what I have pictured from 2013 or 14 until now, whenever the duel started, is the fairgrounds in Kearney. But I guess that could be different. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, sorry, that was just kind of a weird not off topic, but
I wonder what comes first, them officially setting the event or the facility. They probably got to make sure they get the votes and stuff first, which I imagine they will.
Sure.
I guess I don't know how far along the process they are, but
yeah.
So I mean, outside of those tournaments that we are going to be streaming, maybe just go dive into those first. I think the UNK Duels is a great event. You're going to have Kearney, Columbus, Millard South, Millard West. Those are all top 7 in Class A. B number 7 Northwest, C number 7 Kearney Catholic, Alliance, Broken Bow, Minden. I mean, that's a pretty loaded tournament. Like all those teams are good. So UNK Duels should be fun. David City always does. Just put on an awesome event. I think they usually have teams from all 4 classes. At least B, C, and D this year, though. Madison's generally pretty good. They are central. I'm personally really excited about South Loop. And we talked about this last week when it wasn't showing up on Track Wrestling, so I couldn't get my bearings. But it does look like Brody Jensen and Uriel Guzman are going to wrestle. And that's not just your top 2 at 132 in Class B, but probably the top 2 wrestlers in all of Class B, although I was really impressed with Koi Verbka at Skylar, who beat B number 1 Bauman. So an overall South Loop is awesome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 wrestlers in the top 3 in Class D at South Loop.
Dang, it's nice. It's once again, just like highlighting top talent, so.
Looks like, so for Class C on Saturday, is Class C just split into all these conference tournaments?
I was just gonna say it's mostly conference weekend. I mean, like the Lou Platte conference is going on, the Capital conference is going on. I know obviously Mid States is going on. Standard feels like across the board, where once the state duels got introduced, everybody's conference tournaments kind of got moved and kind of pushed back into these areas in mid to late January and all that kind of stuff. So I'm particularly excited from a conference standpoint and this is not just being a homer, but like the Lou Platte conference where we kind of came out of in high school, but like it's got some real good firepower this year. Obviously with, Central City, Gibbons on the upswing, Donovan, there's a handful. I'm probably missing one right now, but like,
okay. So Central City, Donovan, Trumbull, Gibbon, St. Paul,
obviously.
Yeah.
And so like that'll be a nice, obviously these conference tournaments, they aren't backfilled with JVs. Typically it's mostly a varsity only tournament.
We could get Jace Martin and Easton Winder this weekend.
Yes. I mean, you hope you see it, because that gives a real good look at, 113 has been like unchanged all year. I feel like from 1, 2, and 3.
Dude, those 3, the 3 guys between Martin has been like awesome this year. I feel like, and Widener, obviously, I feel like we bring him up every week, but he just beat like one of the top guys in Kansas, bumped up and beat him. So, and then Prado, his resume speaks for itself. So that's an awesome weight class, and we're going to get some clarity there for sure, which is nice.
Yes. And then the Capital Conference, I kind of mentioned that, like, that's features up here where I'm at. Like, I will probably be at the Capital Conference on Saturday, and it's being hosted by Logan View. With the way that I'm gonna probably structure my 2 weeks, I'm gonna travel longer distance next week, so I kind of stay close to home this week as much as I can. And but that'll feature some good matches. Syracuse is there, Logan View, Arlington, Raymond Central. Like, there's not a ton of ranked matchups, but you get C number 1 versus B6 again. It feels like Fitzke and Brody Brandt see each other every other week, so like, you never know how that'll work. And then throw in the Cansteiner brothers from Conestoga in there, and gosh, DC West, few kids, Hudson Harlow, Holden, and the Holding brothers. Like, there'll be some good wrestling going on. Kind of, with these conference tournaments, they're just a little bit smaller. 9 teams, 10
Yeah,
teams.
almost all
It's
of them
not
seem to be that way.
yeah, it's just not. You're not going to see tons of full brackets, and so you see these tournaments. Like, if you're going to watch along on track, like these tournaments can finish at like 2:00 in the afternoon if they go that fast. Like, it's crazy. So,
Yep. There's Plattsmouth invite should be okay too. Lincoln East and Plattsmouth. I'm excited about 138, where you have Odin Anschutz against Brody Schmidt, and then Sean Stanton. Those are three really good guys at 138,
yeah.
and that'll be kind of like a preamble for Anschutz, because Brody Scobie has beaten Schmidt, and that we talked about in the Schuyler finals. So, and then Plattsmouth and Bennington duel next week on Tuesday. So we'll get like that. I mean, and I'm personally excited for that one, obviously, just because of what I'm doing with Class B.
Yeah. There's a weight class that, if you like watching the heavy weights, like at 215 at the Thayer Central invite, you have C number 1 Cole Vorderstrasse, D3 Tyson Klingelhofer from Amherst, D4 Dalton Hurley St. Mary's, D8 Demarion Williams Shelton, and B9 Carson Bell from Norris at that tournament. So, like, there'd be some good quality wrestling there at 215 there at the Thayer Central invite. And then also at 190, C2 Kyler Boyles, D2 Cope Smith from Amherst, Superior respectively, B4 Ryland Schoenbeck, D5 Carson Goes, and D10 Cody Holes. Like, those are the loaded weight classes over there at Thayer Central.
You got to be excited about Dosler and Hochstein again.
Oh yeah,
at Mid-States.
At Mid-States, yes, for sure. I guess I didn't want to lose that one. Be kind of interesting to see how Hochstein adjusts, after
Absolutely.
the first match. So
yeah, so we'll see.
The David City invite's going on this week too.
Yeah,
Plenty of
I
ranked
mentioned that
wrestlers there. Yeah. Madison has their tournament. I'm kind of familiar with that whole look there, and that's a weird cross class thing too, because a handful of Class D schools, Gretna East goes there, and then Cedar Catholic kind of highlights that from a top end standpoint. That's where we're going to see potentially, obviously, Hochstein and Dosler, but also then 132 is nuts at that weight class. You have C2 Maverick Heine, B3 Jack Glendy from Lakeview, and then Stutzman from Howells Dodge, who is D3. That's a typo on the preview. And then C number 5, Manny Figueroa. Like, West Point wrestles a little bit different of a schedule, so it's going to be kind of nice to see how Figueroa kind of factors into some of this. This is a nice little gauging test for him personally. And then you throw in D5 Braxton Fowler from Twin River, who I know has been wrestling really well.
He's been wrestling well.
Yeah. Had a conversation with Coach Cook probably a week ago, just being like, dude, I kind of see this guy right now. Like, he's wrestling really well. Like, keep it up and all that kind of stuff. And then round out the weight class. Weight class is B6 Gabe Campos. So 3 of those guys were at that same Battle Creek meet a week ago. We'll see if that shakes out any differently too there at Madison. So
yeah. Let's see, before we go to Lexington, David City, that one, 175 is the weight to watch probably above the others.
Mhm.
D number 1, Griffin Bergen from Sutton. D number 2, Jet Verbka, Shelby Rising City. B number 3, Grady Meyer from Wahoo, who might be my pick to win that one, man. He's pretty dang good. And then there's some other good guys too, Xavier Zimmerman, Mount Michael. So yeah, Lexington invite. Again, just kind of focusing on the boys right now. We'll get the girls preview stuff out probably a little later, but we will touch on that and the NSWCA here in just a sec. Lexington invite. B number 2 Bennington, B number 3 Beatrice, B number 5 York, B number 7 Hastings, C number 8 Minden, A number 9 North Platte, B number 12 McCook, just won their tournament last week, B number 13 Gehring, and then Gretna, Holdridge, Lexington, Sydney, Kozak, Gothenburg, and then Scott City, Kansas, and Ray, Colorado, I think. So I mean, it's a good, great event. A great way to kind of like how Scotts Bluff goes to Schuyler. You get to see Sydney and Gehring here. You get to tie them in with Bennington, and that really kind of helps. It just helps paint a clearer picture. And so that'll be an exciting event. I mean, golly, there's almost too many really good weights to name here. 1 versus 2 at 144. There's potential for that with Tristan Campbell and Braden Kreichmeyer. In my opinion, clearly the top 2 guys in Class B at that weight right now. And so, I mean, I'm really excited for that one. I'm also excited for Alan Diaz and Devin Nettleman at 157. Those are probably the main 2, but almost every weight has 4 or 5 ranked guys, and we still didn't even include the out-of-state guys on there. So I might do that and then
sure,
update the Lexington invite a little bit. What about anything else on the boys' side for you?
One thing, it's kind of a crucial weekend for a team like Kearney Catholic, who's sitting. This is the duels perspective. They're sitting firmly inside that top 8 in the NSA rankings or NSA point standings, but they're out the UNK duels. So we'll see how, navigating that with all the Class A work. They got their work cut out for them, but obviously an opportunity and obviously Broken Bow and Minden are there too. So it's not just Class A. But Kearney Catholic has, I don't know what the leeway is, but it'll be interesting to see if they can continue to stay inside that top 8 after this week, because it obviously on paper looks like a tall task. So kind of curious about that. So anyway, do you want to shift focus to the NSWCA duels?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and throw up the Class A bracket? You'll probably want to be on full screen to see this clearly.
Yeah, if you're watching along, definitely go full screen.
So I mean, we could do a full book. We're gonna post a fan guide of sorts for free, in lieu of doing like a big preview. We're gonna do lineups for each team and their ranked wrestlers in each lineup. So keep an eye out for that. We'll probably get that out tomorrow. Millard South gets the top seed in Class A. Some of our crew assisted in seeding the event. We used prior results. We used common sense as best we could. We didn't factor in any like geography or anything like that. So yeah, you might be Millard South and Westview and being in Omaha and wrestling in Norfolk. It's just how it is. Millard South full team, undefeated dual record. I do believe they might be a wrestler or 2 short on Saturday or Friday, which would be kind of disappointing for them. But even regardless, they have a ton of girls in the room, and they're going to have good backups if it comes to that. They will be favored, probably even if they are a wrestler or 2 short. I think they will still advance on the top side, but that kind of remains to be seen. Bellevue's got a really good squad too. Blair has been a team that has ascended a lot this season on the top side of the bracket. And then you get that 8-9 first round match, and those usually end up being pretty close between Bryan and South Sioux City as well. The bottom side, you're going to have, which honestly, like the past couple of years, like the 3 biggest powers in girls wrestling, with Norfolk, who's the 2 seed, West Side, who's 3, and Grand Island is 6. And obviously, if you been a fan of girls wrestling the past few years, you know what Grand Island's been able to do. And so, that's maybe a quarterfinal to circle if they square off against Westside, which looks to be, I guess, relatively likely. Schuyler is a good team there, and that maybe, assuming they get past Ralston, that'll be Schuyler and Norfolk. I don't necessarily have a prediction on Norfolk and Westside. If both teams are full strength, I think Westside still has maybe a couple open weights, and I don't know if that'll be enough or not.
Sorry, just knocked over my mic. Anyway, I watched the Norfolk girls last week wrestle in Columbus, and I know I probably mentioned this on the previous episode, but like from a extremely I don't have an opinion really because I haven't seen enough. I mean, I saw Westside at the Norm Manstead. I saw Westside did Westside go to the Winnebago tournament? I can't remember if they were there or not, but like just kind of dipping my toes into the whole like girls wrestling side of things. Like Norfolk to me looks like super tough out, like just every one of them is just freaking nuts.
They're
like,
yeah, I mean, there's a reason why they won it last year.
They are so like just carry themselves different. Like I cannot wait for that duel if it comes to fruition. So that's definitely one I'd want to watch. I don't know who to pick, or like I wouldn't have an opinion that would even be calculated at all.
I know we're waiting on the lineups to kind of be official and track, and then we'll get everything organized and add the rankings and stuff like that for people to see. But I'm gonna go. I think if you're gonna ask me what team's gonna win it, I'm just gonna go out and say Westside. They're trending right now. They really were impressive at Metros, beating Millard South at Metros in a tournament, not a duel. But yeah, there we go. That's my prediction there for Class A.
Okay. Moving on over to B.
Yep.
Okay, the B bracket is now posted if you are following along.
I just feel like in Class B and the girls, there's such an insane amount of depth that some of these duels, usually first round, they're kind of, you sort of know. I feel like some of these first round duels are going to be wild. I don't even want to necessarily say like Lakeview and Battle Creek and Wood River and Wayne are all going to make the finals or the semifinals. I don't even want to say that. So
yeah,
I think it's going to be hotly contested in Class B. I've seen a lot of, the mainstays are the mainstays, but a team like Wayne has ascended throughout the season. Pierce always is a good team to watch. I could see them. They may not have a full lineup, but I could see them presenting some problems to Wood River and potentially making the semifinals there. Takema Herman is another team like that hasn't been on the girls wrestling radar necessarily, and now they're kind of in the thick of it at the 7 seed. Auburn, you get a couple hammers in there with Lucia Campbell and Hadley Mazzola, and then all of a sudden you got some girls buying in and improving, and they are turning into a great program there in Southeast Nebraska. So then obviously UTAN. UTAN's filled with hammers, and they have some young kids and some older level veterans on their team, and they're going to present problems for a lot of people. West Point, they're kind of one of the OGs of girls wrestling, so lots to be excited about with Class B. Golly, who's going to win Class B?
Dude, I look. That's tough. That's tough stuff, man.
This is a cop out. I'm going to go with Lakeview, but I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any? At first glance, are there any glaring omissions in terms of teams in Class B that are not there that could probably be there?
Well, okay, so that's what. Okay, so a team like West Holt is good. Ord's been good this year. There are teams that. So the way this works is it's not like a point system like the NSAA. So there's no like finding out if you're going to qualify. Coaches fill out interest forms. And so I'm going to say this because Adams Central would be the number 1 team in Class B. But I don't know. See, I don't know if their coach filled out a interest form or not. It's very possible they didn't. You even have to fill out an interest form to begin with to be considered, I think. So yeah, I mean, there's some teams that did this a long time ago, that are in that maybe aren't having the season they wanted, or there are some teams that didn't do it, or perhaps didn't be select. I don't know the selection process really. I'm not involved in that either.
Yeah.
But yeah, there may not be a couple teams like, in each class, like Kearney's not in it and Lexington's not in it, like on the Class A girls, and those are like 2 of the top 6 teams, I think.
Sure.
So, but at the end of the day, you're getting 16 schools in each class that are bought into making wrestling better for their schools, and that I think probably in some way understand what the NSWCA has done for girls wrestling in the state. Now, I don't blame Lexington at all. They've had their girls event on the Friday before their boys one for years. So, they're not going to change their weekend. They're going to have their tournament. They still have 14, 15 teams in that event. It'll still be great. And so is the NSWCA duels, and the teams that win it, it's going to be a great honor, whether or not Adams Central would beat Lakeview in a duel kind of thing. Like I don't know.
It's just it's an interesting topic, because obviously, like, after this year, you already kind of hit on it. Like, the NSAA is gonna, that'll take care of a lot of the, you're gonna have the top of the top, and unless you were to opt out, like you've seen with some boys teams before, but like, I would assume in its inaugural season that nobody would be opting out or doing anything like that to the state duels next year.
No, that's not going to happen.
So,
and probably, I'm thinking here, I would think that, it's good. It's going to present some sort of scheduling thing at some point, right? So whether it's a week earlier, it's the Friday before.
Maybe they run it as a 2-day event in Kearney on the same weekend as the boys.
Yeah.
But that's also, isn't that girls' districts too?
1 second.
I believe it is.
Are you hearing the noise in the background? Okay.
No. Too busy.
No, I don't. Yeah. So you're right. So it would probably have to be this weekend, but you'd almost think it would be on Saturday.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I haven't even got to the point where we've looked at real Saturday tournaments yet for the girls with everything going on Friday.
So the reason, we can save this for another one time, but like, is the reason for the scheduling the girls' districts on that weekend, is that an officials, like an NSAA officials, like wrestling officials type shortage type thing that they're running into, that you can't have all the districts from boys and girls going at the same time on the same weekend? Or does it have to do with the early start time of the state tournament for the girls in terms of earlier in the week?
I don't know. I think that
might be a Ron question.
Well, I don't know. I think that at one point, yeah. Now you have, the match limits have changed, and the districts for A, B, and C are all completed in one day on Saturday. So I suppose in theory, if you married the two, the district locations are the same, then you could have the same refs on Friday for girls and Saturday for boys. But then you're asking the girls to weigh in on Friday and do a turn for the state tournament and weigh in on Tuesday. I think it has as much to do with the fact that state is is Tuesday, Wednesday for girls. So, what is that, 9 days? So if you go from Saturday the week before to the state tournament for girls, it's like 9 or 10 days is all between weigh-ins.
Yeah.
So if you shorten that to Saturday, Sunday, 4, that's a big.
Right. Unless you run it. It'll be interesting. And that, like I said, that's probably like once they get the votes and all that stuff for the duels and all that kind of stuff, like a Ron question, with how they are going to navigate schedules. Like, could you run districts on a Monday, Tuesday, since a lot of tournaments for girls have been run on a Monday and a Tuesday, and that way you keep it 7 days ahead of, just like the boys, like from Saturday to Thursday. Well, can the girls run their districts the week before on Monday, Tuesday?
Yes, correct. Yeah. Well,
so.
Good conversation.
I mean,
topic,
you have sub-district basketball and all that stuff is on Tuesdays. I mean, like, so you never know. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think as far as this weekend goes, that's kind of all I've got up to this point. We're starting to, at least for Class B, I have the districts sort of mapped out. And now we're getting those previews ready, which are going to be really in depth. So it's one of the, I think, cooler things that we do offer to our premium subscribers. Probably 20-minute read for each district, 15 to 20-minute read. You can go through. We're going to have our predictions 1 through 4 with some contenders at almost every weight. There will be no blanks. There's not going to be any, oh, we don't know kind of thing. We're going to predict it out. Even if it's going to be somebody with a losing record. So we're going to go through it. We're going to analyze common opponents, head-to-head matches, and you'll get a breakdown for every weight. So keep an eye out for the district stuff. State duels for the boys coming up before you know it as well. We'll probably do a full podcast dedicated to that one. And then keep an eye out for the fan guide for the girls' state duels for this Friday. I think that's kind of all that I got for now. How about you?
Man, I'm excited for the next 2 weeks. This is just like, it feels like this is when it starts to get real, for everybody, a little bit more, because it feels like, formality, just competing, kind of figuring out where you're going to go. And then like once the mid to late January hits, it's like, okay, now we're really starting to feel the, for lack of a better word, pressure of postseason wrestling upon us, So
yeah,
it starts to feel real for those that are competing. It's starting to get down to the nitty gritty. Final wrestle offs are taking place in some programs and that kind of thing. Like maybe there's some kids that are, still jockeying for position on their varsity lineups in certain places. Like it's just crazy. It's go time. So yeah, good luck to everybody out there. As they enter the last
stay healthy,
of the season.
Make good choices. Don't don't do silly things, even if you're not around or not actively participating in the things that get you in trouble. Doesn't mean you're just guilt by association and it's bit people in the past.
Yeah, that is definitely something that has come up in the past, like, so yeah. So I think that's going to do it for the episode.
If you're out in Lexington, come say hi. If you see Kale in Norfolk on Friday or Logan View on Saturday, say hi.
Yeah. I will be next week. I will actually be in Ord on Friday covering the Ord invite and
committing to that one.
Yep. And then Boone Central on that Saturday. So I'll be doing double duty over there, Central Nebraska. So
nice.
Yeah. With that said,
I'm in the chair next weekend, man. I'm taking it's my 1 week off for the whole season.
Sure. Yeah.
So
also want to shout out, obviously, Joe, man, you are the legend. Thanks,
Joe.
And the NEWrestle crew. So
Milford right in the thick of it for the Class B state duels. We'll see. Got a couple big ones this week.
So that'll do it. Well, until next time, good luck, everybody.